back to the class, everyone. Today we have another GC video recapping our previous stream, how it went and everything. And oh, is this one gonna be a doozy. Okay, so we've been getting a lot of, like, roster mismatches, whatever you want to call them recently, where people just have a huge amount of material advantage against us. But we're finally kind of getting to the point in the rankings, like, where are we in the rankings here? I think we're like top 600 or something like that, where we're not only getting people who have a significant roster advantage against us, but at the same time, they're just really, really stinking good players. Like that, it's been a very long time since I've been impressed with our opponent as I have been with this one. So yeah, 629. That is currently the highest rank we've ever been. That's really, really cool, and that presents us with this really cool opportunity to fight against some of the largest rosters and best players in the entire game. So this is what I wanted. This is one of the reasons why I was happy that JC transitioned. That being said, it's going to be rough. It is going to be very, very rough. So first off, before we go into that, let's get a little bit of an overview on his overall roster. See if I can pull up his window here. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So this is kind of what we're dealing with. So you guys can probably already see, those of you who understand this chart, basically anyone over 50 is supposed to be a difficult opponent. And it's all like 190, and there's a 76. Maybe we have a shot against him. But this is our current opponent, Brown. It seems like a nice guy. He did send us a message in chat. I'll show that here in a minute. Actually, I won't show you. Just said good luck. But so yeah, this is him. He's got 6 GLs. Of course, he's got 3 GAC Omicrons. He does have Star Killer, so that is a little nice for us. Mods are just absolutely fantastic. He beats us out on plus 15s by quite a bit and plus 10s by quite a bit. We have him pretty much tied for 20s and 25s, but just roster's great. But what's even worse is that he's just a really stinking good opponent. That being said, let's go ahead and look at what he said on defense against what we said on defense. He did get one attack in, and I'll mention this one attack because it was really, really nice, because this really sets the stage for what we need to do now. So he took out our JMK, and really what I was hoping for was that he would just set all 6 Galactic Legends on defense, then not be able to clear bottom. He didn't do that. He took C on offense, and he beat our JMK with C, which is pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive. That's one of the harder counters to get down, but he did it. Really, my defense is not worth really talking about. If you want to see it, there it is, but we were just trying to take a gamble on him holding all 6, and instead of holding all 6, he held 5 and then used 1. He used C to clear us. So this, I just saying it right now, I don't know how we win this. I do not know how we win this. Like, I have a little bit of ideas I'm going to talk about with chat and stream. But we have R9 Ray here. We have the JMK Cat team. We have Lord Vader, and we have SLKR. So this is, I'm pretty confident that we can put enough to get through that wall, but since he already cleared our only Galactic Legend, it is pretty much impossible to not assume that he's going to full clear us. Like, he's going to get through. And then he just has this really nasty JML team. Like, I don't even think my C can beat that. I don't even know if we have C to give to this team, and even if we do, like, and it's faster than my JML, so I can't just mirror it, and it's high enough relics that my GG isn't going to stand a chance. It's the rest of the teams or whatever, but like that, the 5 Galactic Legends, I do not know how I get through them. So enjoy the match, guys. I'm sure I will enjoy it very much here in the next couple minutes, and yeah, see you then. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get to the fighting now. These matches are really, really interesting, really, really good. I honestly learned a lot, and again, without spoiling it, we'll just get into this. So for the first one, we changed our mind. We actually looked a little bit on his mods, and we saw that we actually had the speed able to trooper his Lord Vader team. Trooper shock with it. For those who are unfamiliar with the counter, basically, as long as you're fast enough, Lord Vader will go first, and then the rest of the team will get cleansed by shock, so then you lose both days and dots, which is keeping you from getting tournament resisting. And the troopers just kind of go ham on the entire enemy team. You'll see how close this was too at the very beginning here. Like, Maul almost killed Veers and knocked out a stack of Dark, and that would have been horrendous. But we did make it. One fun fact about this, apparently Cruz Bonus speed is not in conjunction with the lead speed, which is really, really funny because you would think that a buff would be applied after the leader ability. As you can see, we get things going here. I'm trying to take it a little bit slow. I'm trying to see what we need to do. This team just massively out-relics us. One of the big hindrances here, and this is a big deal for this counter if you're wanting to use it, our Dark is only R5. And the entire enemy team, I think, is R7+. I think Lord Vader himself is R9, if I remember correctly. So we're really trying to punch above our weight here. And it's just kind of the hand we're dealt right now. Our opponent has, like we said earlier, over 200 more relic levels than us. So we have to try to find that wiggle room somewhere. This probably isn't the right team to find it, but it's kind of where we are. So we get the Royal Guard pretty decently, but R5 Dark just doesn't cut it versus R7 Crew. His is modded fairly well as well. It's pretty much just defense and health, which is really all Crew needs. So yeah, we're looking at everyone's turn meter right now, and it's like, I don't think we're going to get through it. So just trying to figure out what's the best thing to do. Still going for the basics, that generates more turn meter. Hopefully we can get enough of those bonus assists from ranges unique to allow us to keep the turn meter going, even if we can't get right through Crew. But as you can see, I mean, he's not even remotely close to the yellow. So that's a huge red flag. So yeah, we can't get him down. Everybody ends up getting their turns. But one fun thing that is going to happen in this, and a lot of people don't realize it, is that if you kill someone with 20 stacks of Piet's buff, he starts to hit really stinking hard and go really fast. Like you're going to see, we're basically going to two-shot both Vader and Maul here, which is very impressive. Even after losing Dark, we're able to kill pretty much all the damage on this team, which this in the moment kind of felt a little sad, like, okay, yeah, we're gonna fail, this is not good, we just burned a really good team. But this ends up being a really, really big deal, and I think is what gets us as far as it does, in this, not just in this fight alone, but in this entire match. So yeah, Super Piet's not doing anything against that Crew still. He just gains way too much health back when you hit him. I don't think we're really doing anything at this point. Sorry, at that point we left it there. And this is really, 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 really good. Because now we can take an SLKR, Daka, and Zombie without Want. Because now they have no DPS. Like, the reason why you really need Want is to get the health tech onto Daka to make sure she doesn't ever die. Because the dots alone can kind of be sketchy for her. But now that they don't have any damage like Maul or Vader or anyone else, it's just Crew who's going to spend most of this match stunned. It doesn't really matter. So we're able to save Watt, and saving Watt is crucial because, as we saw earlier when we were kind of scoping out their offense and defense, they said an R9 JML, Jedi Knight Revan, and Jedi Knight Luke, just a really, really good comp up top. And if I don't have Want with C, I don't think we get through it. I just don't. We went up against an R8 JML the other day when we just took in a bunch of junk Sith just to make sure we could get the link off, and we still almost died just because of the amount of damage they do through the lead. So yeah, this match is going pretty well. We're trying, if you guys can't tell, we're trying to time the heals right with Daka as well as the cleanses with SLKR to make sure she doesn't just keel over from dots. I do kind of just like using the heal on her every single turn, because with that, oh yeah, this is fun. With that, you're not dealing damage to Lord Vader, you're not feeding him ultimate charge. One thing that we were pointing out earlier when we zoomed in on Lord Vader's, I don't know what to call it, his debuffs or whatever, you can see that he has the decreased mastery buff above his head, which I've heard people talk about this, but I didn't know there was a physical representation in game. Pretty much what that means is, because we were reducing Crew's mastery, and then Lord Vader was taking in whatever level of mastery that Crew had, he now has decreased mastery in some shape or form. So that's just really funny. That's such a dumb mechanic. That shouldn't be a thing, but it is. And you'll see here, even with R9 Lord Vader, our R7 SLKR, who isn't really modded for damage, is going to overcome him in about 3 minutes time here. If Crew wasn't here, this would have taken a little bit longer, because we were able to get quite a bit of mastery from siphoning the stun character. But yeah, 40 banners there. Shout out to EndAllBL for this one. We used I've never done this before, but we used his calculations, or his spreadsheet calculator, to make sure that we have Mando's Annihilate here correctly. So this entire battle, we're just trying to snipe Cat. We can't split our Jedi, or we can't use all of our Jedi on this team. I don't even think all of our Jedi on this team would work, because this team had 120k Cat under with Padme in there. Pretty much meaning that JML counter probably wasn't going to work, and it definitely wasn't going to work without Jedi Knight Luke and Jedi Knight Revan. And we need Jedi Knight Luke and Jedi Knight Revan to be able to beat his SLKR. So this was pretty much our only option to get through this front wall at all, was to use our kind of rinky-dink bounty hunter team. And we have Zam and the Omicron, so that's good. Like, Grief and Mando are still gear 12. Or was 4 stars. But if you have the turn order right and the right amount of speed, it works perfectly. I'm going to come with gas to clean this up. This counter is super easy. We've been doing this one for ages. Even back when Cat wasn't around and Squad Arena was still like not sandbox mode, I would climb with this. Even against like the teams with Cam in there that were actually pretty good, like we would beat them 90% of the time. And there's really not even a lot of strategy in this fight. The JMK AI is so bad, and you'll see it here in a minute. In this battle and every other battle, when he gets to ultimate, they just start beating up on characters they can't do damage to. So you pretty much just sit here until they build up enough buffs so that you have a ton of offense and you start one-shotting everyone. And they can't do anything about it because they refuse to hit the character that they should be hitting, which in this case right here would be Gas. Like you'll see it here in a second. He just procced ult, and as soon as they proc ult, instead of going out of their way to hit Gas to knock him down, they're hitting Echo. I have no idea why they're hitting Echo. It makes no sense. And they go after 5s. Who knows? But again, so you just kind of have to wait this out. You have to wait till your offense stacks through Gas's lead. There's a lot of buffs on the enemy team. Even without Padme there, she's really not a prerequisite for this to work. Gas is going to sit down, but that's really not the largest concern. I've had this battle go a few ways, and it always ends up on win. I've seen a point where you need 5 sack to win. I've seen where you don't get 5 sack at all. 5 doesn't even die. I've seen one where they kill 5s first, and I still win. Yeah, it's really just hard to lose this. Pretty sure he has the relic advantage here as well. He has more R8s than our team does, albeit our gas is R8, but we were doing this way before that happened. And then super clones are also very fun. Looks like General Anakin Skywalker at the high ground there. So this counter just is super standard. We are taking in our Jedi Knight Revan, Jedi Knight Luke versus SLKR. For those who've seen this fight before, there's really nothing to say about it. There is one thing that actually does go really wrong here. We got bad RNG, but it's not really the end of the world here. So this is a single tank variant, because he actually talked to this player in chat. He messaged me. Really good player. Also, yeah, that's really, really bad. We didn't land ability block on SLKR, so he gets to do all of his stuff before we can really get going. Not great. But also, not exactly game over. Yeah, I was talking to this player, and he specifically set crew because he did the math, and his whole point with that was so that we couldn't use troopers. And he even told me afterwards, he was, I'm trying to remember the exact word he used. It was either disappointed or frustrated or something, that he went to all that trouble to do the math to make sure that crew would go before our shock and mess it up. And then because, for whatever reason, the game mechanics are the way they are, it didn't work. So, secret here, we tried to keep SLKR ability blocked after we had the tank down, and that's all she wrote. And now that we were able to use that there, we can go ahead and take Jedi Master Luke versus this anti-gas comp of Rey. This one is really, really hard to beat with gas, so I kind of knew we needed to. It would be better to two-shot his JMK than try to use gas against this, because we've tried this before, and you just get into this loop of hollow taunting. You hit her to get the taunt off with Arc or someone, she counters, she puts out Foresight, and then you just get stuck in that, because once the Foresight goes away, she's back. So this is an R9 Rey. She is also offense modded, so she's gonna hit really hard when her ultimate comes. We're able to get ours first, and we do. I don't know if you guys know, but we have Mason here, and that really doesn't matter. I was just trying to pick a Jedi that would be tanky enough that wouldn't die from her doing a whirlwind targeting JML, because then you can't revive, and then it just ends up being bad banners. If someone dies from the ult, it's less of a deal, because then we can just go ahead and take a Jolie. We are trying to not use TM moves once we hit the ult, and we can't even really do damage to them, because we don't want to give her just free offense for essentially no gain. Now we're kind of back in here. She's got ability block, so she can't hit us with a whirlwind. She's already gone through her damage immunity, so we can now just smack her and bring in Grandmaster Yoda. And then from here, I think we just tried to build back a little bit of protection banners with the characters, calling it using Jedi Master Luke's lead ability. We weren't able to get as much as I would have liked. We've gotten more and more recent times, but the damage meter really helped with that, actually. So I think we ended up getting it on about maybe 3 of them. Yeah, just trying to get rid of the foresight, and then I think Cam gets us here. Yeah, so we got on 3 of them. All right, then this match, I was really impressed. Like, how hard GAC was before we got C, because JML, if you don't have C, and they have like an R9 JML with Jedi Luke and Jedi Revan, he is a pain in the butt to take down. I couldn't even mirror this one because it was faster than mine, so they would have gone first and applied ability block to us. We couldn't use Jedi Knight Revan lead against it to get rid of the ability block because we had to use him for SLKR. Like, if we didn't have C here, we wouldn't have had a chance at clearing. I'm gonna take a wild guess and say my Undergear GG doesn't beat R9 JML. I think Magna would die after 1 hit, so we're able to just kind of annihilate Luke there, and they're still dealing a hefty amount of damage, but with the Watt tech, we're able to get back enough protection there and able to kill us. Legitimately, I don't think if we weren't able to save Watt from that Lord Vader fight with SLKR, I don't think we win this. So that earlier fight when we lost with troopers, but we were able to kill Maul and Vader, I really think that is what enabled all of this. If we wouldn't have had that failure, we wouldn't even gotten this far. So R7C takes out there, and then we went ahead and took Qui-Gon Jinn versus Dash. Haven't done this before, but yeah, so I was kind of not ticked, but like the one character I didn't want to die, which I guess he didn't target him because it was an AoE, but this was a fun moment. We had a good laugh at this one. Jedi Anakin, critical damage down, just didn't care. I don't think Vandor was there. With him not being there, Jedi Anakin's damage is pretty ramped up because he reduces it. And we did make sure to take in the full team of GR Jedi so that Jedi Anakin wouldn't lose any of his bonuses. And he just slaughtered him. 62 banners. That was a really fun fight. So this one's sketchy. So Nest versus Phasma. Really the only possible lose condition here is for if you can't kill Xylo maybe halfway through the battle or even like 3/4 of the way in, and you get down to a 1v1 versus Xylo and Nest, Xylo wins that match every single time. So I have to kind of have enough damage where you can see we're specifically targeting Xylo because I don't want the other characters to die, because the other characters are really facilitating a very large amount of protection up via just getting hit. And so when Xylo comes in with this big hit, it's really not that big of a deal. The issue is we're countering all of them, and we just start to kill a lot of them, which is not ideal. And we almost get close to killing Xylo here. There's really no full way to do this unless they're modded really poorly. And unfortunately, our opponent was not modded very poorly. He had pretty decent mods on his characters. So you can see this is getting sketchy because now we're about to kill off all the ads except Xylo, and then it's just going to be a 1v1 situation, which is going to be very, very messy. And of course, he gets it. He lands the crit, and I think he did 8k more damage than our Nest had at full health. So it was very close, but it was enough. And looking back, I don't know, like you guys can't see it here, but in the middle of the stream, like we had very few resources after having to burn 2 very good teams for both Lord Vader and JMK. So we're down teams at this point. So we're able to use this funky. This was actually really fun. I miss doing this. Using Thrawn and Vader against Darth Revan. So Darth Revan was like 350 speed, and he had talent in there, so it was like 370 or something like that. Might have been a little slower, but it wasn't fast enough. It wasn't slow enough for us to use anything else on it. So we went ahead and took in this little number, and this was really, really fun. You can see that the gear on this team is a little lacking. Most of it was R5, but Set himself is only gear 12. But I don't really think that matters because it's Merciless that's really going to end up killing them. We did have to take in Palp here. I didn't enjoy... There's a little bit of misplay there. We shouldn't have done that because we had corrupted battle meditation. There was a little bit of... What was I going? So we had to take in Palp here because Bastila Shan Fallen would actually be faster than our Vader if we didn't. So I'm not sure that was a huge loss condition, but I just feel more comfortable being able to go in with Vader and snipe Darth Revan before he does anything. So yeah, this is going really, really well. We were able to kill Talon on a basic because she was only gear 11, so they didn't get the revive. That was very important. Cold DR, and then pretty much we're just playing the waiting game with Vader here, trying to make sure that we don't constantly fear ourselves and increase our cooldowns. And then we get to this point, and I think if I held Merciless Massacre for one more turn, it would have been a little bit smoother, because then we wouldn't have had to worry about this Malik situation. We would just be able to call him while in Merciless, and it would have done significantly more damage. Because Malik, once you get him back below that, I think it's like 25% health point, he gets really stinking tanky. We're gonna take in Bad Batch versus this Jango. This is a weird team. There's a lot of leftover scoundrels. Like there is some synergy here. Like it's not. There's worse teams you could make with leftovers. That being said, it just really wasn't enough. One of the big things that Jango lead needs to defend against Bad Batch is he needs to make sure they don't have any potency. But if he's the only bounty hunter there, then he's not dropping our potency at all, because Jango, his lead says, for every debuff that his team has, our team gets less potency, but there's only one bounty hunter. So even if we land 2 debuffs on Jango like we did in the beginning, Tech is gonna still land his stun, which he did. Yeah, so we get down here, and again, this is pretty good banners. Kind of a weird team, but I'll take a 65. And then we had Iden, and our opponent didn't leave Mon Mothma because, again, he did a very good job scouting us, figuring out kind of what were the cheap counters he could take away from us. But he did put down this team, and we saw Dooku in here, and I was pretty sure, I wasn't 100% sure, but I was pretty sure that Dooku would just hand us the win. Because you're going to see here, all he does this entire match is constantly counter, and the Iden team is it's so freaking good. I really feel like this wasn't balanced. I feel like they could have just made for when an opponent assists. Yeah, I tried to put a little dodge there on the death mark. That was a jerk. They could have just made it when they assist that you get turn meter and health protection for like a direct counter to Mon Mothma. But they made it attack at a turn, which makes, I guess maybe that was meant for CLS. But so whenever we get these counters from like Zalbar and Dooku, our whole team gets to go again. So not that this enemy team is impressive, but it's just kind of fun to see the versatility of Iden, that she's really not just a Mon Mothma killer. She is so much more than that. And you can see we're going to go ahead and take the death mark here on Maul. And this part gets a little bit sketchy because Dooku has a lot of survivability on his own. He's got crit immunity, and then on top of that, he heals protection whenever he attacks that turn, which is pretty much every single turn. And we have really no way... we have really no way to stop him from doing that. We don't have any days or anything like that. And even if we did, you'll see he's able to cleanse here where he doesn't have the crit immunity. So this actually got really annoying. So we landed Death Mark, and then I was really dumb. Instead of taking advantage of the Death Mark and just trying to hit him with a basic or something like that, we used the AoE, and when we used the AoE, we cleansed him. And when we cleansed him, he got crit immunity. And when he got when he lost crit immunity, he got crit because Zaul lead, he cleansed the Death Mark. So a really drawn out interaction that we didn't think of in the moment, but could have cost us the battle. But we learned from our mistake. We didn't use the AoE the next time. There's really nothing to say about this one. This is just pure overkill. We always take Grievous on offense just because it's such a useful tool. He beats so many things. If someone wants to get cheap with the GL on defense, we'll throw this at him and lose the GL. So that's great. But yeah, this is just the last team that was on the board. We probably could have undersized this, to be honest. Grievous is just a better team. That's the beginning and end of it. So just completely wreck them. Gotta love Grievous. Really, really excited to see him on offense, especially with there's reports of people using Wampa to kill Grievous. So why would you put that on defense at this point? Speaking of Wampa, here's our cleanup team. So like I said, we didn't really have any real teams. This is what made me think that maybe our nest attempt in the beginning was almost necessary. because I didn't really have anything left. Like, our cleanup team is really just a hodgepodge. Like, we took in pretty much every... We pretty much just took in every, like, really good character on their own. Like, Royal Guard has some pretty redeeming qualities on his own. Moff Gideon has a ton. Wampa has a few. Armor has a few. And then we just put them all together and use that as a cleanup team. So we got the ships here and he put Executor down. So we just went with our normal Executor counter. Pretty much just at the mercy of RNG here. Quite a few things went right here. So we got a triple dodge. It's disgusting. This is so gross. We got a triple dodge with our tie, which gives us a ton of turn meter, and also he's like barely damaged. So that immediately gives us the upper hand. Like, that's one of the two best things that can happen in this. They went right after the Vulture, which was also great. Really enjoyed that. And then we bring in Spy here, and this is probably the biggest win condition in my opinion. If we can get Xanadu Blood and get him out, we're looking really good, and we do. So this is huge at this point. At this point, I'm already freaking out in the stream. Like, this is going to be a one shot. We really, really need to full clear this guy. We need to get as many banners as possible. Because really, your only shot at winning, with him already taking JMK down at the very beginning, is to make sure that we full clear and then he gets screwed on ship RNG. That's what we were gunning for. That's what I'd said that multiple times in the stream, because we were able to get the full clear, which is great. But again, our opponent just had way more tools than we did. He was able to set 5 Galactic Legends on defense. I don't even have 5 Galactic Legends. So he was going to beat us on ground efficiency no matter what. Like, we had 2 shots, both Lord Vader and JMK. He didn't have to fight. He didn't even have to fight Lord Vader because we don't have Lord Vader. But, so yeah, we really, to have a shot, we needed to do well with ships. We needed to do really, really well with ships, or at least get them down. And I left both Executor and Negotiator on defense. I really like doing that. I think I'm going to keep doing that because at least when we're in this week of like really, really high intensity matches where I pretty much have to win on stupid gambles after trying to play our best, that's pretty much what ends up happening here. We're just taking a huge bet on ships holding and just trying to maximize everything we can do on defense. So this is going really well. We got to ult before they did. They haven't even gotten whatchamacallit, their contract, I think is what it is. And yeah, just going really good. They do finally get TIE Fighter Pilot down, so that's nice of them. We're going for the AoE here just to kind of get as much damage out there. Ebon Hawk gets almost close to killing Slave 1. I'm getting a little nervous at this point because if they have an AoE or they have the ult up real close, we're going to die real fast. But luckily, it's only Razor Crest by the time they do get the AoE, and that's not enough. And they're able to take in him, and got a 6-2 against his Executor. Really can't complain about that. Really can't complain about that. And he has this Empire Sith team down for Fleet. A lot of people like setting this. I actually don't. I actually like this variant. Or I don't like it in the sense that it's a pain in the butt. Having to do a shuttle and the tanks at the same time sucks. He gives them so much survivability that if you can't get either of them down and then the big hitters like Vader start coming in, it goes south really fast. So unfortunately, we don't have the TIE Echelon even leveled up. I didn't have ship credits. I haven't bought a ship mod in months, but just with trying to play catch up with a lot of the ship mechanics, I'm just so behind. But I don't think that would have made a huge difference in this battle. We're able to get quite a bit going. And get the TIE, not the TIE bomber, is it a bomber? It has bombs. It should be a bomber. I don't know. We're able to kill a Sith ship. We're able to kill a Sith ship right there in the very beginning. That's really helpful. And then they don't have target lockout. So what's his face? The bomber doesn't keep taunting there. And we can just go right after the shuttle, which this is huge. Because like I said, if Vader or someone comes in and both those two are still standing, it'd be such a huge headache. Go to the buff removal here. That would have been really, really helpful. So let's go ahead and pass turn meter over to the right characters. Go for the big-ish hit, I guess. Yeah, there's really not too much to say about this fight. Once we got those two specific characters out, there really wasn't a lot they could do. Yeah, Bomber had target lock on there for a second as well, so that was really, really nice for us because then we were starting to get a lot of buffs. And here I was just like, I think we just kill him with a basic and go from there. So we did end up taking them down. That was really, really nice. We did manage to get the full clear. So that was huge. But going into the actual GAC round, you'll see that we did take the loss. That's the first one. It's been the current opponent. It's been a few weeks since we've had a loss, but this is kind of the loss that I'm okay with. This, I'm perfectly satisfied with this. Like, he won by 45 banners by a pretty decent margin. So that means, like, our goof up with Nest or whatever you want to call it here, like, even if we went back and we tried to try a better team, that wouldn't have been enough. Really, we tried our best. We used a bunch of counters, learned a lot of stuff. We were able to full clear, and we were able to get really far, but just because this guy has such a large material roster advantage, and not just that, but he's a good player. Like, we've beaten players, we beat players with a larger roster advantage last week than this guy. He's just a really, really good player, and then on top of that, he just has a lot of stuff that we don't have. So I don't feel any shame in this loss. I frankly enjoyed this match. This is really what I looked forward to when GAC got changed, and one of these types of matchups. Because even if you can win these, like, we came close to winning this. We were 50 banners off. Like, it's probably important that I show this. Like, he took 4 attempts on Executor. I don't know if one of those was washing out cooldowns or what. I imagine it was, but still, like, if he wasn't able to one-shot negotiate, that was probably a game and we would have won. So the new GAC format really gives us that opportunity. That's really cool. Unfortunately, these next 2 matches, they're going to be up against players that are like just the same as Brown. They're going to be very, very challenging. So it is what it is. I looked forward to it. I heavily enjoyed this match. And yeah, until the next time, guys, stay awesome.